Welcome to the HMO Property Show. By investors, for investors. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing. Whether you're a seasoned investor, a new landlord, or just curious about property investing, this is the podcast for you. Sponsored by the Co-Living Collective, your trusted partner in creating vibrant and sustainable shared living experiences. Visit us at colivingcollective.com.au to learn more.
Hello and welcome back to the HMO Property Show. This is Jo Gibb, your host for today. You are used to hearing from my husband Neil, but I've kicked him off the mic because I want to really come from a different perspective and really talk about the heart of what we do. With HMOs and co-living investments, we can make incredible returns, but we can also make incredible impact. So this is about profit with purpose and really talking about how if we invest with intention, we can just make much, much more happen. So today for my first episode, and this is the first time I'm hosting, so I hope I do enough justice for these beautiful ladies in front of me. We have got two gorgeous people and property managers from the co-living living rooms team. And it's really important that these kick off this kind of mini episodes that we're doing, just so that we can really hear from the people on the ground what impact we are actually making. So we've got Chantel, our senior property manager, and Annalisa, our trainee property manager, who work together in the South region. And welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So we're just going to have a chat about all things to do with more impact, even though a lot of people are always really interested in understanding how we manage the properties. I know investors say to us, well, you know, A, can we fill them? But B, how do you manage all the different personalities and stuff in the houses? And, you know, we could do podcasts and podcasts on this, but I think the main thing I want to talk about is the actual impact and from on the ground, what you girls have heard and have had experience in. So firstly, I just want to, I want to ask you both, what makes a co-living home different from a standard rental?
I think obviously co-living, the difference between co-living and a standard rental is, you know, we are bringing in, you know, up to 5 to 6 different people in one property, and we are giving people that opportunity to be able to move into a home that's safe and affordable. If they aren't quite ready to be in a standard residential property, whether that comes down to affordability or what's available on the market, but it's a really great opportunity for people to be able to come in and, build a different kind of connection in a different way.
Beautiful. And obviously, I mean, you two have been amongst it for our residents for quite some time now. So you really get to, meet everybody and understand everyone's situation. Can you share a story or a moment when you first realised that this is more than just a roof over someone's head?
One of our recent events we went down to the Mandurah food trucks and we actually had 3 housemates all from the same property come to the event, and they carpooled together, which was really great to see. They also let us know that they've been planning like their own household events because they just had a couple new housemates move in. So that was really good to see.
That's awesome. And I think while we're on that topic, the event space is something that we've been getting into, I guess, the last 12 to 18 months. Chantel, talk about why, I guess, we put those in place.
Yeah, I think putting the events in place gives the opportunity for people to come and meet and be with us. It creates a space where they can connect with new people, whether it's within their own home where they're living, or obviously our other residents from our other properties. So it gives them that opportunity to come out, especially if they, you know, they've come, like they might be an international student or they've moved from over east or something, where they might not know a lot of people, they might not have a lot of family and friends currently, and it gives them that opportunity to get out of the house, come and meet with us, have some time out, and just have really good conversations and doing something different. We're always trying to change up our events. So we all, in each area, whether it's north or south, we all hold different events, and we're always trying to change it up every month. So whether it's the food trucks, we do coffee catch-ups. We've just recently done the markets, and the next one we're looking at doing is a hike. So we're not so much a hike, but it's just more like a bushwalk. So, nothing too crazy, maybe up to 4 or 5 Ks where, it's a beautiful time of year, like spring has just sprung. So, just to get some fresh air, get out in nature, like it always, it's always a great thing to do, to get out and get in the bush. So yeah, that's the next thing that we're hoping to do for our event.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think this is just an example of how we are more than just property management. And, Annalisa, you're saying about the food trucks, that's on a weekend in your own time, right? So this is what I love about what we do and what living rooms can bring in that management space, where it isn't just about the property, it's about the people in it and what we can do to create those connections.
Yeah.
So, I love it. And I feel like these event spaces are going to get bigger and bigger.
Oh, and they will. Like, we are getting more and more people every month, which is really great. And I think obviously with the weather change as well, we will see more of our residents coming in and joining those events.
So I don't know if I've told you my big goal around this, but I want like a massive ball at the Crown where it's all living rooms residents that buy a ticket for Christmas and they all come and have a big Christmas party there.
Amazing.
That's where we're going to get to.
That sounds fun.
That's so good. Another really good moment for me in terms of that when it made me realise it was more than just property management, was going into one of the properties one morning for a viewing, and I had 4 of our residents in the kitchen just casually, having a cup of tea, cooking toast, just having that morning chat, and, takes away that loneliness for some people. If they are on their own, you've got that opportunity to build those friendships and connections with people in the house, because it was just such a nice moment, to just walk in and look at them and go, wow, this is really good. This is really, really good. Because we've obviously got to make sure as well that when we are taking in applications, we've got to consider our current residents that we've already got and make sure that, they are going to be a good fit for not just for the property but for the people as well. To be able to form those connections. But that was like a photographic memory for me, walking in and seeing them so casually, happily chatting away and having a laugh and just doing their usual morning business.
It is gorgeous to see that. I remember the first property that we did, which was our home that we then converted into the co-living space, and we went in and they were having, I think there was a game on that weekend, and they were in the cinema room and they were all getting together, and that it actually is a pinch me moment, isn't it? To actually know that they're not just about living there, they actually are creating friendships. And there's been times, I don't know if you've had this experience, but it's like almost the Tinder world of living, where we've had people hook up and then get a couple's ring later. I love that. That's so good.
It is good.
But it's this community thing, because I think if you go way back when, everything was about communities. You always knew your neighbour, they'd have street parties, and then it's slowly pulled away from that. Nobody says hello to the neighbour anymore, and you don't know who lives next door but one to you. And I think that that's such a shame. And since COVID, and I was reading some books on this, just about the impact that's made from an isolation perspective, because taking people away from everyone else, you've got that sense of isolation, but then we're not actually fully coming back into it. So there's a lot of workspaces that are still doing a lot of work from home, but there is a lot of that down spiral in loneliness and mental health. So I think that this co-living product and the way that we're building these communities again, it's almost going full circle to back to where we need to be. I kind of relate it to plastics and glass. Everything used to be in a glass bowl. Then it all went plastic, and now now all the glass is coming back. So I feel like we do this like, full circle thing, which is great. So I guess talking about an affordability perspective, because we know there's a ridiculous housing crisis at the moment, and I know some of the inquiries that have come in are from, you know, people who are in fully paid, you know, well-paying jobs, but they just can't get rentals, and that's where they have to think differently about the way they live. Have you got any, I guess from an affordability perspective, any stories that ring true to you from experience of any residents that have come in that have had to choose this way of living?
We have had a resident, I met her at one of our viewings. She was actually looking for a place to call home. She was leaving a domestic violence shelter. And then we got her moving into one of our properties, and she fit in very nicely, made friends with the housemates there, which was a really positive story, just to see the difference that we are making and that we can make an impact in terms of affordability.
Beautiful. And that definitely resonates with a lot of connections and partnerships that we're having at the moment with Worthy Australia, who we'll have on next week, but also Zonda House, Lucy Shaw. Like, a lot of them are actually now from reaching out or knowing that there is another option for women coming out of refuge, because you know, there's the horrific statistics. I think it's 1.5 now, or 2 women per week are killed by their partner or ex-partner. And if someone coming out of refuge has to go back home because they've got no other choice, or back to their perpetrator, they're really putting themselves in that dangerous situation. So I love that this is another option for them. But I also have an experience myself with we had a property in Stirling, and we did a bit of a workshop in the office to get a few people down to just talk about their experience in co-living. And a lady in her 50s was there, and she said, I actually came to this property out of a domestic violent relationship. I couldn't afford to go into a stand. This was when the market was actually pretty good, but she just really couldn't afford to be renting on her own. She was so nervous about being around other people, and obviously from the relationship she's come from, it was very hard for her to move into this environment. But she actually said she will not live any other way now. She feels safer knowing there's people around the house.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you know what it's like if you're in the house on your own and then you hear something and you're like, your mind plays tricks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I think now that was gorgeous. I don't know whether she's still there. We'll have to have a check-in. But I think that just shows, like, she didn't actually want to come in a co-living environment. I think her perception was a lot different to what it is. But coming out of it, she just doesn't want to live any other way.
And we still see that as well. You know, we still have people that, you know, come to viewings and we always ask the question, have you lived in co-living before? Have you lived in a share house? Because it's good to know. And some people, they are hesitant because there can be that stigma around it where, you know, what's the age group? You know, like, is there house rules in place? And yes, there is. Like, you know, some people, there can be that stigma that it's like party house or things like that. And it's absolutely not. It's not like that at all. We have, you know, professionals in our homes, you know, that, you know, work full time. So we always ask the question. And
what would you say the percentage is of people who have versus haven't? And do we think that's changed over the last 12 to 18 months?
It definitely varies. I mean, we get a lot of people that have, but the good thing is the ones that haven't and they do decide to take that step and move in, they're great outcomes, and we find that they are long-standing residents. Like, we've got one that's been with us for 4.5 years in one particular property that we manage. But yeah, it's also really good when we do take people through and some of the residents are home and they, you know, have that small talk, and, you know, it gets a really good feel for them to have that small interaction and knowing, you know, the other people that are living in there as well. We always try and, you know, give as much information as we can, like the ratio between men and women. You know, some people, you know, really want to know what the split is, I guess, like between men and women in the house. So we make sure we always know that information as well. But yeah, no, I think, we've got a lot of positive outcomes. It's good.
Yeah, and we'll chat slightly about the demographic because I think we've kind of debunked this a little bit over the years, but, it was always seen as co-living was just like share housing out of university or student housing, student accommodation. And I think the product that we bring to the market shows that it is different to that. But also, what is different between living rooms and there's a lot of these larger co-living providers over east, and there's some of them come to Perth, which have got these big high rises and really cool, funky spaces. And I feel like where we differ is these are homes within homes into suburbs that, you might not have been able to normally afford to get into. It might be nearer to family and friends, where I feel like there's a place for all of us. And I feel like the funky co-living spaces are gorgeous, but probably are positioned more to the very young professional. Yeah. Where I actually love that we've got such a wide range of ages and demographics in our homes. Do you want to talk anything to, I guess, the types of people?
So we have like massive age ranges of people in our properties from as young as 18 to like 70s plus. We actually just accepted a resident for a room who is in her 70s. So there's massive mix of ages.
Okay, let's talk about her. This is awesome, isn't it? Because we talk about like there's a lot of big homes in the world, in Australia. This happens across the world, and kids flee the nest. You have one or two people in a house on their own. Now, say if there's somebody has lost their partner and they're in their 70s and they're rattling around in this big house. I mean, you've just got to think of all the energy consumption, the bills they have to pay, but the loneliness, like that layer on it. Yeah. So I love it when people can embrace this and come into this way of living. So talk me through a bit about her. What's her circumstance? Do you know? So
she's a single woman, has been living on her own, and she's moving into a share house now. So it's just going to be really good for her to have that connection, which she can really foster in the shared spaces. And then she's obviously got her own private room with ensuite as well. So she's got her retreat. But connection's always an option for her.
Beautiful. And I think this is something we'll case study as well, because we've had people in their 70s, and the fastest growing demographic of homeless is women 50 to 55 plus. We need to be doing more in those areas to get people from living in their cars to actually living in a safe, secure bed at night. And I think that's so important. I think you've had situations where you've had people in their cars.
Yeah, right? We've definitely had an increase as well of women over 50s, like looking for, a place to call home because they have escaped, a domestic violence situation, which is generally... I find, the women that are over 50s, I think all of them, that is the circumstance, which is really unfortunate.
And that's just in our portfolio, but in general, obviously, there's lots of different circumstances.
Of course. One particular one that does stand out for me is she said, I just need to get out, so I only need it for short term for 6 months, and just so I can, sort my finances, get myself back on my feet, and, and in 6 months' time, I will, be moving on. Well, it's been 6 months and she's staying.
How good.
She's staying because she's really loved being in that environment and having people around her, and she feels safe. There's always someone at home with her. And if there isn't, like, she still just, she knows that she's in an environment where, if she needs to reach out to someone, she can. So I really love that we've been able to be a part of that journey for her, where she, her initial, process was just to be for 6 months, but now she wants to stay, and she doesn't really see herself like wanting to go out and be on her own again.
And that's it. She can be, and it's kind of a place, a platform that they can start to rebuild without all that financial burden. Because even if she moved out, she's going to have to pay a higher rent. She's going to have to pay all the bills. This one kind of weekly rent just means that she's able to save. And I think people, you know, the more savvy people are being around this housing situation, the more they're going to be in better stead for the future. Yeah. And look, we can't help everybody. There's, you know, when we talk about being intentional with your investments and, you know, you talk to, you know, government want to make impact in the housing market, but privately, I think we can do so much more. And if we can get singles and couples into co-living spaces and free up the houses for families, everybody will thrive. And I think that we can create the communities that we need to in the co-living spaces. Yeah. And then families are going to, you know, I remember, and this was a real height of the vacancy last year, was a family that reached out and they'd said they were pretending to the kids they were camping on holiday because they were living in their car because the landlord sold the house, so they couldn't find another rental. Now, this isn't people that can't afford. This is people who can, but they just have nowhere else to go. Yeah. So they're packing up their cars and they're saying to the kids, look, we're just on a camping trip and we're going to wake up at the beach on a morning. And it's great that they're creating an experience out of it. But really, as a mother and father, and knowing now that I've got kids, you know, you don't know, there's that sense of security and certainty that you need in housing in order to be able to provide for your family and make sure that everyone's happy. So that's financial and, well, it's not even a financial stress, right? Because they've got the finances. Just that housing stress that they're actually in. Yeah. Well, that brings me on to my next question. How does it feel for you as property managers to know that every room you fill is also creating impact? And I want both answers from you.
For me, it feels very fulfilling to know that every time we move someone into one of our properties, we're giving them more than just a roof over their head. They're having, you know, connection with the other people living with them, and we're just making a difference.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think as well, like going back to the affordability side of it also is, you know, them being able to move in and all they need to think about is, well, all they need to do is basically it's just paying their rent. They don't have to worry about incoming like extra bills or, you know, the Wi-Fi or, you know, it's just you just need to pay your rent every week, like be respectful of everybody else in the property, and that's really what it comes down to. And it is really nice at the end of the day to know that, you know, some of those experiences that we've been a part of, like we've had a huge impact on their lives. Like I do have one particular resident who, you know, she reaches out to me just on a regular basis, just sends me pictures if she's had her hair done. She's like, look at my hair, look at my nails. I bought this new dress, you know, like, so it's really nice to know that. Well, she might not have a lot of family and friends to reach out to and give those kind of updates. I can be there for her and go, oh my gosh, your hair looks great. You know, and she has that, you know, she's got me to kind of reach out to and to be able to, have that kind of conversation with, I guess, and show those things off.
I love that. And one of my questions, and we've answered this, but I want to kind of highlight some things. Because one of my questions was going to be, what are some of the little things that you see in your role that investors might not realise are happening in these homes? And what it is, we could sit here and chat about all your experiences every day, but I think you guys just think it's so normal that you can never bring them out to fruition that well. And I remember I think it was a planning day, and we were like, I don't know, it was like a win or say something that was impactful. But then slowly, it was almost like, oh, well, no, I mean, I did this one thing, but it was actually really big. But I feel like you guys have just like, it's just your role. So
it's just an everyday kind of thing for us. Yeah, we're not just managing properties. Like, we're building relationships with people, you know, where they've got someone to reach out to. You know, we're not just like property managers, and we're not just here to, like make sure your room's clean and whatnot. Like, it's good. It's nice to know that, we've been able to form those relationships with people. And I guess we don't really, like, we do these extra things, but it's kind of just normal for us to do that.
Yeah, I think we don't really think much of it at the time when we're doing it. It's only when we like stop and reflect that we realise what we've actually been doing.
Yeah.
We tell someone and they're like, oh my gosh, wow. Like, I took my dogs to one house because one of my residents loves sausage dogs, and that was very clear, like, when I did her first inspection of her room, and she just had sausage dog stuff all over her room. I was like, okay, I really need to bring my dogs over. So on a weekend, I sent her a text and I was like, hey, I'll pop in and bring the dogs, and she just absolutely loved it.
That is so good. I absolutely love that.
Such a good story.
But to me, that was it was just, I don't know. I didn't necessarily have to tell anybody. Like, it was just, I wanted to do that for her because I knew that would be something that she would really love.
And that is why you're such an incredible part of this team, because when we recruit for these positions, it's always a people and property manager. It's never just a property manager. And the experience, I know you've got real estate experience in the commercial side, but I think it's so important that we see the people who are in the team, and like, it becomes second nature to you, but that's not second nature to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it really just shows. I mean, we've got a really great team, and I'm not in it every day, but when I come into the office, the buzz that the property management team have is awesome. And I think that we've just, we're so very lucky and grateful to have you guys steering that ship in the property management space, because let's talk about it. It's not easy.
No.
Like, managing so many different types of people.
Yeah.
We're talking on this podcast about the impact that it's creating. It impacts you guys personally. I mean, we put you through the mental health first aid courses. We've got more and more things coming from the Happiness Cause partnerships to help support the residents, but also help support the full team in order to, deal with situations. Because I know there have been some really not very nice situations, but you still show up. So why do you still show up?
We still show up because whilst we still can have these, harder days rather than others, the good days outweigh the bad days. We've got a great supportive team, and you can't just let one experience or one person ruin that for you. And we're just so broad in everything that we do that, we still are able to show up in a positive way. And I think that's because we can walk into the office and someone will instantly know if you've maybe not had the best morning without even having to say hello yet. And you've got that support behind you. We've got a great team. It's just it, and that's why I show up every day anyway.
Thank you. And thank you for showing up every day.
It's a great feeling walking into work and just knowing that whatever comes up, we've got the support of the whole team behind us.
Beautiful.
That's good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more question. What excites you most about the future of co-living in WA? Because we know it's getting bigger, and we know what pipeline we've got coming up that we're going to plan for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
But what excites you about it?
I'm super excited because I feel like we are getting more attraction, I guess, like more attention because sometimes it can feel like, because co-living in WA hasn't always been such a big thing, but it's really taking off, right? So I'm very excited for what's coming in the future, and I know that we're just going to be able to create more and more great, impactful experiences for people in so many different situations, whether it is, vulnerability or affordability, people coming from overseas. We've just got so many so many different walks of life. So it's really exciting. I'm pretty excited about that.
It's very exciting.
And is there any more stories that you want to share, or do you feel like we've covered?
We do have some pretty good feedback that we might be, if you're happy for us to share.
Absolutely, yes.
So yeah, we've received some pretty good recent Google reviews from some of our housemates. So I think it's a good opportunity to share some of the, really good, impactful experiences that we've been able to create.
Please do.
Yeah. I'll start us off. So one of our reviews, the resident has said that the housemates are all extremely lovely, especially the girl across the hall who I bonded with immediately. We have had nothing but positive experiences with the staff. I could not recommend this more.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and one of the comments in another review that we've got, which I really love, is that living rooms is a really good alternative to big real estate agents because we treat them as people, not just a number. So I think that's a really important thing to kind of, point out.
Awesome. Yeah. And I've been seeing some of these reviews come through. Yeah, awesome when you get them.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to share?
I think that was all.
That was it. So let's just wrap up with one word. If you could summarise the impact co-living makes, how would you summarise that in a word or a sentence?
If I had to pick one word to summarise the impact of co-living, I would have to pick connection.
Beautiful.
There's so many that come to mind, honestly. I'm going to say safe.
Great.
I feel like that resonates a lot with some of the housemates that we have been, going with lately.
Yeah.
Safe for me. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, thank you for being my first guest. And I really hope this sets the tone for investors to be more intentional about where they're putting money and know the impact that they can make because we need the financial reward, but we also need to make impact for our neighbours and have that community connection and care. So thank you so much. I know that Neil normally ends on every winner was once a beginner, every master was once a disaster. I don't know how relevant that is to this space, but I'm still serving that one up. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jo.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you tune in the same time next week so you can stay up to date with all cash flow positive property updates.